Hi, my name is Tierra Thomas, and I recently graduated from UCLA in 2019 with a BA in Communication Studies and African American Studies. I'm creating this lesson for students who want insight on the UC application process, specifically the personal statement and essay portion. I will be sharing my own personal statement in this lesson, and I will be giving y'all advice on how to write your own unique personal statement. In future lessons, I will show y'all how to create your own outline and give more advice on how to write other essays. Overall, I hope this lesson really helps with your application process. Let's get started. To begin, I want to share specific tips on how to write your personal statement, or things to keep in mind while you're writing your personal statement. Number one is show what you're passionate about. Before you begin writing your personal statement, really sit down and take the time to think about what your passions are. What brings you joy? What are some of your life goals? What do you feel your purpose in life is? Highlight some of those things. And it's okay, even if you feel like you don't have something exactly in mind, just reflect on your own personal experiences and think about the things that brought you the most joy or some of the most fulfillment. And write those things down and keep that in mind to maybe include in your personal statement. Number two, you want to explain your skills and assets. Keep in mind how you're valuable to the UC and how you can contribute to the UC as a student. Number three is to be open and personable. You want to be thinking about your reader and how to draw them in throughout your essay. Number four, explain how you have persevered and overcame any traumas or obstacles that you may have faced along your journey. And number five, get creative and use literary elements like metaphors or similes. You really want to keep your reader's attention all the way to the end. Now that I shared some tips that I believe helped in my personal statement, I'm going to share my actual personal statement with you all and go over each paragraph so that we can go into detail and keep things in mind when you're writing your own personal statement. The first paragraph of my personal statement begins like this. California born, Connecticut raised, in Florida living, my 16 years of life have been a journey. Ravina and Melvin Thomas brought me into this world, and those who are familiar with my parents knew I had high standards already set for me. Indeed, my parents are the primary source and motivation for my success. My parents have always disciplined me hard by ensuring that schoolwork and education came first, but loved me harder by always supporting me at every function and activity I participated in. For that reason, I am very humble and know the importance of family first. As you can see in my first paragraph, I begin with a statement that immediately draws my reader in. I grab their attention by describing something that's unique to me. I've lived in 3 different places, California, Connecticut, and Florida. I began my essay with those facts because it describes who I am and how it shaped my journey along the way. I suggest thinking about anything that is distinctive to you. For example, your family, your friends, your community, your ethnicity, sports that you're passionate about, anything that you can use to draw your reader in. This is the opportunity to show your reader what you're passionate about and set up what you're going to be talking about throughout your essay. This connects with the tips I mentioned at the beginning of the video because not only am I describing what I'm passionate about, I'm also being open and personable. I'm drawing my reader in. I'm letting them know who my family is and what people expect of my family. I also describe how I can be seen as a value or an asset to the university. For example, describing why I put my schoolwork and education first by briefly sharing about my upbringing with my parents. All right, let's move on to paragraph number 2. After moving to Florida in the 5th grade and living here for 7 years to present day, I consider the city of Lakeland in the Sunshine State my community. This community has grown me like a natural Florida orange, shaping me into the fruitful person I am today. After participating in numerous community programs and activities like Leadership of Lakeland, I have made a name for myself and left a mark in my community. Through these seminars and workshops, I have realized my passion for leadership and videography. In this paragraph, I go into more detail about my community in Florida where I came from. I briefly share an example about a specific program I worked with called the Leadership of Lakeland. I set up my reader for my next paragraph in my last sentence. However, looking back on my writing, I believe I could have done a better job at this. I believe it is important to sit down and brainstorm what you want to focus on in each paragraph. I suggest when you brainstorm what you plan to talk about in your personal statement, sharing the specific example about either an event or a program or anything that you participated in that shaped who you are as a person. So going back and reflecting on some of those tips I mentioned earlier, in this specific paragraph, you can see my use of literary elements, specifically metaphor, in this sentence. This community has grown me like a natural Florida orange, shaping me into the fruitful person I am today. This really captures your reader's attention. I suggest really sitting down and thinking about how you can get creative in your writing. If you're not used to being creative with your writing, take your time and go out and look at some poetry, look at anything that can inspire and spark some creativity for you. All right, let's move on to the third paragraph. Attending Lake Gibson High School has allowed me to demonstrate my leadership skills as a student body president. Within this position, I can motivate my fellow students to make not only a change in our school, but in our community as well. I have started beneficial clubs such as our Fitness and Health Club, where students, teachers, and parents can learn the importance of physical activity and nutrition. I've also partnered with my principal to ensure that our senior year in the class of 2015 will be the most impactful class at LGHS. We have gone from service projects such as painting outside the school and the school walls to organizing events such as food drives and Power Puff football games to fundraise. Before I was able to achieve these accomplishments, a number of teachers helped me along the way, building my self-confidence and serving as a great role model. As you can see in this paragraph, I really go into detail about my high school experience. This paragraph is almost like a resume if you really look at the detail. I described that I was student body president. I described that I started a club. I describe a lot of different things that I accomplished throughout my years in high school. For example, the community service I did, painting outside of the school, painting the school walls, connecting with my teachers, and really looking for mentorship to work on my leadership skills. I really went into detail on how I did all of those things and how those things shaped me into the person I am today. I really believe it's important if you mention any leadership roles that you've had, describe how those leadership roles contributed to your overall success or some of those things that you learned in those positions. It's really important that you reflect on your own personal experiences and describe that throughout your personal statement. Anything that you found valuable either in high school or outside of school in your community, any community service, really include that in there and take the time to describe how that made you who you are today. So going back to the tips I mentioned earlier, in this specific paragraph, I believe you can really see what I'm passionate about. For example, when I describe I connected with my principal to make sure our senior class had the best and most impactful senior year possible. That really shows how important I took my position as student body president and what I wanted to accomplish and how I tried and did accomplish those things. Okay, moving on to our fourth paragraph. This is what I have. On the other hand, both my community and school have enabled me to thrive in my passion for videography. As a young sophomore, I earned the position of executive producer, which is usually reserved for an upperclassman, by showing great leadership skills and knowledge in the field of videography. Since then, I have pushed our video crew at LGHS to produce the best news shows, commercials, music videos, and reports that we possibly can. Through attending community workshops on editing, reporting, directing, I have raised my skills above the bar of an average high school student. So once again, in this paragraph, I'm really describing my passion for videography. I'm describing what I accomplished, how I became executive producer at such a young age, and how I took my role very seriously. When looking back on my essay in the eyes of a reader or somebody who's going to be in admissions that's going over your essay, they really want to see that you were passionate about something. You really want to paint a picture for them that your reader can see you at this university and they can see you being passionate about something, whether that's your schoolwork, a club, sports, anything along those lines. You just want to paint that vision for them. And you can try to do that in your personal statement in the best way possible by describing simply what you have accomplished already. Remember, keep in mind that you're an asset, you are valuable, and show how you are valuable to the university. Brag on yourself a little bit, but in the most humblest way. My last paragraph is my conclusion. However, I'm not going to read that one to you all. It's basically a wrap up of everything I described throughout my essay, in each sentence. I want to go into more detail about some of those tips I shared with you all at the beginning. So number one, show what you're passionate about. You've seen the example that I used with my family, my schoolwork, videography, my community service. Those are some of the things that I described that I did in passion, that I was excited to do, that I really took the time to learn and accomplish the goals that I set. You can do this as well by thinking about anything that you're fulfilled by or any of the things that you have accomplished along your way. And number two is to be open and be personable. Really draw your reader in. Share personal details about your life. You don't have to share anything that you don't feel comfortable sharing, but whatever you believe shows who you are as a person and the things that you've accomplished and what you have achieved. Please share that. And last, you want to be creative. Use those literary elements. Really draw your reader in any way possible. Take your time. Set up what you're going to be talking about in the next paragraph and the last sentence of the previous paragraph. I really hope these tips helped you all. I will go into further details in future lessons. Once again, please connect with me personally if you want personal one-on-one tutoring or personal advice. I look forward to working with you all through Linkstory.